The ultimatum first contact the message arrived on a quiet Tuesday morning at the Global Defense Initiative headquarters in Geneva. Director Marcus Webb stood before the holographic display, watching the alien symbols translate into English. His weathered face showed no emotion, but his hands gripped the edge of the console. The Centauri Collective had made contact 6 months ago. They were an ancient empire spanning 40 star systems, with technology that seemed centuries beyond humanity's reach. Their ships moved through space like silver daggers, and their warriors were bred for conquest. They had never met a species they could not dominate. "Director Webb," said Dr. Amara Okonkwo, head of xenolinguistics. Her dark eyes reflected the blue glow of the hologram. "The translation is complete. They are not requesting negotiation. This is a demand." Webb read the message again. The Centauri wanted Earth's outer colonies: Mars, Europa, Titan, and the asteroid mining facilities. They claimed these territories by right of superior strength. Humanity had one Earth week to evacuate or face military action. "Call an emergency session of the Planetary Council," Webb said quietly. "All members. No exceptions." The council meets. The Planetary Council chamber was a circular room with representatives from every nation and colony. Premier Li Chun of the Mars colony spoke first, her voice tight with anger. "They think we will simply abandon our homes? Mars has 3 million people. Where do they expect us to go?" Governor Andreas Volkov of Europa Station slammed his fist on the table. "My people have lived in those ice tunnels for 30 years. We built everything from nothing. We will not surrender to alien invaders." Webb let them talk. He understood their rage. Humanity had spent 2 centuries spreading across the solar system. Every colony represented countless sacrifices, dreams built in the darkness of space, and lives given to push humanity forward. "Enough," Webb said finally. The room fell silent. "The Centauri believe we are weak because we have been peaceful. They have studied our history and see only our conflicts with each other. They do not understand what we have become." Dr. Okonkwo activated another display. It showed Centauri military records, obtained through methods the Council did not need to know. They have conquered 18 species in the last 300 years. Their pattern is always the same: issue demands, destroy any resistance, occupy, and exploit. They are efficient predators. "Then we fight," said General Sarah Kamani of the United African Defense Force. Her voice was calm, but hard as steel. "We show them that humans are not prey." Webb shook his head slowly. "Not yet. First, we give them a chance to walk away. We send one final warning. Clear, simple, and absolute. If they ignore it, then we show them what humanity can do." Crafting the message, the team worked for 3 days on the message. It had to be perfect. Every word mattered. Dr. Okonkwo insisted on clarity. General Kamani wanted strength. Ambassador Hiroshi Tanaka argued for diplomatic precision. Webb listened to them all and made the final decision. The message was short. Only 43 words in English, translated perfectly into Centauri. Webb recorded it himself, standing alone in the communication center. His face filled the screen, gray hair, lined face, and eyes that had seen too much war. "This is Director Marcus Webb of Earth. You have demanded our colonies. We refuse. Leave our system now. This is your only warning. Cross the boundary of our outer defense perimeter, and you will suffer consequences beyond your imagination. Choose wisely." They transmitted it on all frequencies. The Centauri would receive it within hours. Then humanity would wait. The Centauri response: High Commander Vorthik of the Centauri Collective received the message aboard his flagship, the Eternal Dominion. He watched the human's face with something close to amusement. His scales glittered silver under the ship's lights, and his triple-jointed arms gestured dismissively. "Consequences," he said to his officers. "The humans speak of consequences. They have 300 primitive warships. We have 3,000 battle cruisers. They threaten us?" Sub-Commander Rethus, his second in command, showed more caution. "High Commander, our intelligence reports suggest the humans have hidden capabilities. Their technological advancement in the past 50 years has been unprecedented. Perhaps we should investigate further before committing forces." Vorthic's eyes, black and cold, fixed on Rethus. "Are you afraid of primitives? They split the atom only 3 centuries ago. They achieved faster-than-light travel barely 100 years past. They are children playing with technology they barely understand. We will brush them aside like insects." The other officers murmured agreement. The Xanthari had never lost a war. Their military doctrine was perfect, their weapons unmatched, their warriors supreme. One more conquest would be simple. "Prepare the assault fleet," Vorthic commanded. 200 ships. We will take their colonies by force. When they see our power, they will beg for mercy, and we will show them none. Humanity prepares back on Earth. Webb watched the Xanthari fleet gather at the edge of the Sol system. Satellites tracked every ship. Quantum sensors measured their energy signatures. AI systems analyzed their formation patterns. The Xanthari were coming, just as humanity had known they would. "They are not taking the warning seriously," Dr. Okonkwo said. She stood beside Webb in the observation center, watching the tactical displays. 200 ships. They think that is overwhelming force. Webb allowed himself a small smile. Let them think it. Pride makes enemies predictable. General Kimani entered the room, her uniform crisp despite the late hour. "All defense stations report ready. The outer perimeter is armed and waiting. Project Lighthouse is fully operational. We are ready to light up the darkness, Director." Webb nodded slowly. Humanity had spent 60 years preparing for this moment. Not because they wanted war, but because they understood the universe was not always kind. The peaceful messages sent to the stars had received no answer for decades. Then the Xanthari came, and humanity learned why the silence existed. The strong dominated the weak among the stars, just as they had on Earth's ancient plains. But humanity had learned from its bloody history. They had learned to prepare. They had learned to hide their strength. They had learned patience. "Send the fleet positions to all defense coordinators," Webb ordered. "When the Xanthari cross the perimeter, we respond immediately. No hesitation. No mercy. They chose this path when they ignored our warning." Premier Li Chun appeared on the communication screen from Mars. Behind her, the red planet's surface stretched to the horizon. "Director Webb, the colony councils are asking what will happen. Should we evacuate the civilian centers?" "No," Webb said firmly. "Tell your people to stay calm. Tell them to trust in humanity's strength. The Xanthari will not reach Mars. They will not reach Europa or Titan or any human settlement. This war will be over before it truly begins." The fleet advance's High Commander Vorthic stood on the bridge of his flagship as the Xanthari fleet entered the Sol system. The star called Sol burned yellow and warm ahead of them. Scanners showed the human colonies scattered across the inner planets and moons. So much territory for such a young species. It would all belong to the Xanthari soon. "Maintain battle formation," Vorthic ordered. "All ships, weapons ready. If the humans are foolish enough to resist, destroy their vessels. Leave their stations intact. We will use them after they surrender." The fleet moved forward like a silver wave. 200 warships, each capable of destroying a city with a single shot. The finest weapons that Xanthari technology could produce. Victory was certain. Commander Rethus monitored the sensor readings. Something felt wrong. The human defensive positions were too quiet. Their ships remained docked at their stations. No fighters launched. No missiles fired. Just silence and waiting. "High Commander," Rethus said carefully, "the humans are not responding." Perhaps they know resistance is futile," Vorthik interrupted. "Continue advance. The outer perimeter is just ahead. Once we cross it, we will be in range of their Mars colony. They will see our strength and surrender." The fleet crossed the invisible line that Director Webb had marked as humanity's outer defense perimeter dot, and everything changed. Asterisk. The consequence, the awakening, the space around the Xanthari fleet erupted with light. Not the light of explosions or weapons fire, but something far more terrifying. Thousands of objects that had been invisible suddenly activated, revealing themselves across millions of kilometers of space. High Commander Vorthik stared at his tactical display in disbelief. The screen was filled with red markers. Thousands of them. They surrounded his fleet completely, forming a sphere of potential destruction. His sensors had detected nothing until this moment. "What are those?" he demanded. "Get me identification now." Sub-Commander Rethus worked frantically at his console. His scales had turned pale with fear. "High Commander, they are weapons platforms. Thousands of autonomous defense stations. They were cloaked, completely hidden from our sensors." "How is this possible?" "Our technology should detect anything." Vorthik's triple-jointed hands gripped his command chair. The humans had hidden an entire defensive network in plain space. The Xanthari had scanned this system for months and found nothing. But now the truth revealed itself. Humanity had technology the Xanthari did not understand. A new message arrived. Director Webb's face appeared on every Xanthari screen simultaneously. His expression was harder now, filled with cold determination. "You were warned," Webb said simply. "You chose to ignore that warning. Now you will learn why humanity survived to reach the stars. We survived because we learned from every predator that ever hunted us. We learned to hide. We learned to trap. We learned to strike with overwhelming force when necessary. You are now inside humanity's trap." Project Lighthouse on Earth. Director Webb stood in the command center surrounded by holographic displays showing the entire solar system. Every defense platform was now visible, their positions marked in blue. The Xanthari fleet was trapped in the center, marked in red. "Project Lighthouse is fully active," General Kimani reported. Her voice was steady, but Webb could hear the tension beneath. This was humanity's greatest achievement and greatest gamble. 60 years of secret construction, trillions of dollars invested, the work of 3 generations of engineers and scientists. "Target acquisition complete," announced Commander James Richardson from the tactical station. "All platforms have locked onto Xanthari vessels. Firing solutions calculated. Awaiting your order, Director." Webb looked at the display. Each Xanthari ship was now targeted by at least 20 defense platforms. The mathematics were simple and brutal. The Xanthari had brought 200 ships. Humanity had activated 4,000 hidden weapons platforms, each equipped with weapons that even the Xanthari had never seen. Dr. Okonkwo stood beside Webb, her hands clasped tightly. "Director, they are trying to communicate. High Commander Vorthik is requesting negotiation." "Too late for negotiation," Webb said quietly. "They demanded our homes. They threatened our children. They ignored our warning. Now they face the consequence." He took a deep breath. "General Kimani, you may fire when ready." The Storm General Kimani gave the order with 3 words. "Lighthouse Protocol. Execute." The defense platforms fired simultaneously, not with explosive missiles or plasma beams like traditional weapons, but with something humanity had developed in absolute secrecy. quantum disruptor beams that could tear apart the molecular bonds of any material. The technology had been theoretical until 20 years ago, when a breakthrough at the Lunar Research Station made it possible. High Commander Vorthik watched his fleet die. The Eternal Dominion shook violently as beams struck its shields. The shields held for exactly 4 seconds before collapsing. Then the beams touched the hull, and the mighty warship began to disintegrate. Metal turned to dust. Systems failed completely. Life support disappeared around him. 200 Xanthari warships suffered the same fate. The pride of the Xanthari collective, vessels that had conquered star systems, were reduced to clouds of atomic particles in less than 3 minutes. Some ships tried to run. Their engines activated, pushing them toward the edge of the system. But the defense platforms tracked them easily, and more beams lanced out across the darkness. Vorthik's last thought, as his command chair dissolved beneath him, was simple disbelief. The humans were supposed to be weak. The intelligence reports said they were primitive. How could they possess such power? He never learned the answer. The Eternal Dominion became an expanding cloud of molecular debris, joining the rest of the Xanthari fleet in oblivion. Silence. After the storm, the command center was completely quiet. Every person watched the displays showing where the Xanthari fleet had been. Now there was only empty space and dissipating particles. 4,000 defense platforms remained in position, still active, still ready. Premier Li Chun broke the silence first, her voice coming through from Mars. Director Webb, the Xanthari fleet is gone. All of it. In 3 minutes, you destroyed an invasion force that would have conquered any other species. My God, what have we built? Webb's face showed no triumph, only weariness. We built a defense system capable of protecting humanity against any threat. We built it in secret because we knew the moment other species learned of our capabilities, everything would change. We wanted peace, Premier Lee, but we prepared for war. Ambassador Tanaka appeared on another screen from the diplomatic station near Jupiter. Director, we are receiving communications from across the galaxy. News of the battle is spreading. The Xanthari sent live feeds back to their home worlds. Every species that was watching has seen what happened. They know now what humanity can do. Webb nodded slowly. This was the moment humanity had hoped to avoid. Anonymity had been their protection. Now that protection was gone, burned away in 3 minutes of devastating firepower. How is the Xanthari collective responding? Webb asked. Dr. Okonkwo pulled up new data. Their government has gone silent. No official statements yet, but our intelligence sources indicate chaos in their capital. The High Council is meeting in emergency session. They lost not just 200 ships, Director. They lost their sense of invincibility. The message spreads within hours. Every major civilization in the known galaxy had seen the footage. The Xanthari had broadcast their assault proudly, expecting to show their dominance over the primitive humans. Instead, they had broadcast their complete destruction. The Korathi Federation, longtime rivals of the Xanthari, watched in amazement. Ambassador Selavar of the Korathi sent an immediate message to Earth requesting formal diplomatic relations. Any species capable of such defense, her message read, is worthy of respect and friendship. The Threen Unity, a collection of peaceful trading worlds that had lived in fear of Xanthari expansion for centuries, celebrated openly. Their news broadcasts showed dancing in the streets. The great predator had been bloodied. Hope existed again. Even the ancient Prith ascendancy, isolationists who rarely communicated with younger species, sent a brief message. Well struck. The arrogant have learned humility. Perhaps this galaxy will be quieter now. But the most important message came from the Xanthari collective itself, 3 days after the battle. High Counselor Drethax appeared on all communication channels, his silver scales dull with shame. People of Earth, he began, his voice formal and strained. The Xanthari Collective acknowledges grave error. We came to your system with hostile intent, believing ourselves superior. We ignored your warning, dismissed your capabilities, and attacked your territory. The consequence was just and complete. We petition Earth for peace terms and offer formal apology for our aggression. Webb watched the broadcast with General Kamani and Dr. Okonkwo. When it ended, Kamani whistled softly. The Xanthari have never apologized to anyone in their 3,000-year history. This is unprecedented. They learned the lesson, Webb said. The hard way, but they learned. Now the question is whether the galaxy will learn it too. New era asterisk, the peace terms were simple. The Xanthari would withdraw from all disputed territories. They would pay reparations to the species they had conquered. They would reduce their military fleet by half and submit to independent monitoring. Most importantly, they would never again approach human space without explicit permission. The Xanthari accepted every term without negotiation. They had no choice. The alternative was having their home worlds targeted by the same weapons that destroyed their fleet. Humanity had made it clear that Project Lighthouse extended far beyond the Sol system. Hidden defense platforms existed throughout space, claimed by Earth's expanding colonies. 6 months after the battle, Director Webb stood before the newly formed Galactic Assembly. 43 species had gathered on the neutral world of Sanctus Prime to establish new rules for interstellar relations. Humanity had been invited to join as a founding member. A recognition of their demonstrated power. Webb addressed the assembly with characteristic directness. Earth does not seek to dominate the galaxy. We want only to live in peace, to explore, to learn, and to grow. But we learned hard lessons in our history. We learned that peace without strength is merely waiting for conquest. We learned that warnings without consequences are meaningless. We learned that sometimes showing strength prevents war rather than causing it. He paused, looking around the vast chamber at the assembled alien representatives. Some showed respect, others showed fear, a few showed calculation. Webb understood them all. We sent the Xanthari one final warning, he continued. They chose to cross our boundary. They suffered the consequence. That same warning now extends to this entire assembly. Earth welcomes friendship, trade, cultural exchange, and cooperation. But any species that threatens humanity or our allies will face the same consequence the Xanthari faced. We will not strike first, but we will always strike last. The chamber was silent for a long moment. Then Ambassador Selavar of the Korathi stood, her blue skin glowing with approval. The humans speak wisdom earned through fire. Let this assembly recognize Earth as a sovereign power, equal to any species here, and let all present understand that humanity's warning is not empty threat, but solemn promise. The vote was unanimous. Earth joined the galactic community, not as supplicants or victims, but as equals who had proven their right to respect. Home 3 months later, Webb retired from his position as director of the Global Defense Initiative. He was 68 years old and had spent 40 years preparing humanity for this moment. Now younger leaders could guide Earth through the complex, diplomatic landscape of galactic politics. He returned to his family home in Kenya, a small farm near the place where humanity first evolved millions of years ago. Standing on the porch at sunset, he watched the sky darken and the stars emerge. Somewhere up there, the defense platforms of Project Lighthouse maintained their silent watch. Humanity slept safely because those weapons stood ready. Dr. Okonkwo visited him there, bringing news from Geneva. The Xanthari have completed their fleet reduction, she reported. The Monitoring Commission confirms compliance. 3 other aggressive species have suddenly become very interested in peaceful negotiation. And the Korathi want to establish a joint research station with us near the galactic core. Webb smiled. The galaxy is learning. Violence has consequences. Warnings matter. Respect is earned, not demanded. You changed everything, Marcus, Okonkwo said softly. One battle, 3 minutes, and the entire galactic order shifted. Webb shook his head. I did nothing special. I simply understood what humanity has always known. We are not the strongest species. We are not the smartest or the fastest. But we survive because we prepare, we adapt, and we never forget our warnings. The Zenthari learned that lesson. Now the galaxy knows it too. As night fell completely, Earth turned peacefully in its orbit. Above, the defense platforms watched. Beyond, the colonies thrived on Mars and Europa and Titan. Further out, human ships explored new systems, carrying not conquest, but curiosity. Earth had sent one final warning to those who threatened humanity. The Zenthari had crossed the line and suffered the consequence. Now peace reigned, not through weakness, but through demonstrated strength tempered with restraint. The galaxy had learned to respect the warning. And humanity, finally, could focus on building rather than defending. The stars awaited, full of possibility and promise, guarded by the eternal vigilance of those who understood that the price of peace was eternal readiness for war. Asterisk.